What's up YouTube? What's up everyone? And of course mga tisoy, mga tisay, intro, pasok ka na dyan, bahala ka na dyan. Welcome to my channel, Tisoy Kaayo. Okay guys, click na natin, no? So, hanapin na natin dito ngayon. Ito na siya ngayon. Oh, ito na. So, may nakita na tayo guys. So, nakikita nyo naman dyan sa taas guys. So, Japan's strangest live stream Nasubi, a life overpriced. Diba? So, ito is patungkol sa isang buhay, sa isang live stream sa Japan, which is mahilig naman ang mga Hapon na gumawa ng mga games, no? So, siya ang napili, si Nasubi, na gagawa sa live stream na to, na dapat magawa niya lahat ng ipapagawa sa kanya ng game na to. Pag nagawa niya yun lahat, mananalo siya ng malaking pera. Okay, so hindi pa natin alam kung ano ba talagang takbo dito. Okay, kasi parang parang iba naman sabi nila. Kita niyo naman sa baba dyan, the most ever live stream ever, di ba? Pero pipiliin natin itong si Atrocity Guide. Okay guys, so let's go. Ano pang gagawin natin? Umpisahan na natin guys.
The Japanese are known for their extreme game shows,
guys,
many of which have put their contestants in physical and psychological danger to provide their audiences with a unique viewing experience. In the late 90s, early 2000s, a broadcast that many believe to be the most radical and potentially unethical instance of this.
Okay, ang sabi dito guys, Nasubi, the most horrific reality show you'd never heard of. Okay? Staying alive become my full-time occupation. Kasi, may mananalo sa dito guys. Makikita nyo naman dyan na may mga link na projectcasting.com. Siguro sila. Ito yung source na to galing sa kanila. And then, metafilter.com. So, nakita ko kasi kanina siya, sa habang nanonood ako ng Facebook, nakita ko one time, tapos ni-react siya, ginawa siya ng narrate. So, by the way guys, this video is credit to the owner, which is gumawa ng reaction narration video na to guys, no? Okay, let's go. And of course, don't forget to subscribe guys, Yung channel nila is Atrocity Guide. Please subscribe Atrocity Guide. Atrocity Guide guys. Okay, nasa description down below. Ilalagay ko yung original video. So, credit to you. Okay, credit to you. Alright. So, let's go. Umpisahan na natin ulit.
This aired on a Tokyo-based network called Nippon Television. The show was titled Susunu Denpa Shonen, and it consisted of a live stream of a single room. Inside the room was a stack of envelopes, a rack of magazines, water, a gas burner, and one man who was asked to undergo one of the most rigorous endurance performances ever broadcast.
Okay.
That man was a struggling comedian desperate for fame who went by the name Nasubi.
Ito ng pangalan niya, si Nasubi. Okay.
In January of 1998, Nasubi, which translates in English to eggplant.
So, ibig sabihin guys, matagal na pala tong na to. Kumbaga, ngayon na parang na-trending na siya, na-viral na siya, ginawa na siya ng mga alas of reaction. So, ito naman ako, gagawa ako ng reaction ko. Gusto kong ipakita dito kung ano yung pananaw ko sa video na to. Kasi, grabe, ang tindi guys. Dahil lang sa manalo siya ng siguro, milyon ang halaga ng papanulunan niya, kaya ginawa niya to. Okay, so this is 19, ano yung sabi niya kanina?
In January of 1998, Nasubi would...
Yun, January 1998 pala to guys, no? So, matagal na pala itong mga live stream show ng Japan. Pero sa TV lang guys, kasi on that time, wala pa naman masyadong 2005 nag-start ang YouTube, di ba? So, continuous natin.
which translates in English to eggplant, was chosen from a raffle of approximately 20 applicants for a contest titled A Life of Prizes.
20
After
na
winning,
aplikante.
Nasubi was escorted to a space no bigger than a small studio
Siya yung
apartment.
napili, guys.
He was asked to begin the game with absolutely nothing, including his clothes.
Okay.
He was given only water, and in order to provide himself with food, clothing, or any means of entertainment during his stay in the room,
Nakulong ka lang sa isang
Nasubi
room.
must win them via sweepstakes. The sweepstakes could be found in the stacks of magazines, which he could enter by mailing contest applications using the envelopes provided. This was the point of the game, to survive solely on his contest prizes. Once Nasubi's winnings reached a monetary value of 1 million yen, or roughly $9,000, he was declared the winner.
Ayun. Ito pala yung price, guys. So, nakikita natin dyan sa screen, no? 1 million yen, which is equivalent to 9,000 US dollar, guys. Okay? Kahit sino naman, kasi hindi natin alam kung ano yung games na yun, eh. Pero ang nasa utak natin, katulad ko, no, nangailangan din ng pera. Kayo, nangailangan din ng pera. Ang nasa utak ko lang is talaga is manalo. Tapos luckily, si Nasubi yung napili. Right? So, let's go. Continuous natin mga tisoy.
And allowed to exit the room, resume his life, and enjoy his newfound celebrity.
Wow. Tingnan mo, ang daming viewers.
Did Nasubi succeed? That all depends on how you define success. To answer this question, let's take an in-depth look at Nasubi's time inside the room. Immediately upon being left alone, Nasubi's priority was to cover himself, and the very first contest he applied for during this first episode of the live stream was an apron. Not only did he not win the apron, but during his entire 15-month-long stay, Nasubi remained completely nude. The majority of his time was spent submitting contest applications. In the first month, Nasubi applied to 5,748 sweepstakes.
Wow!
While waiting for notifications of his first winnings, Nasubi was taunted by ill fortune. He answered the phone to misdialed callers, and during one frustrating afternoon, after several days without food, a ramen delivery boy knocked on Nasubi's door by mistake. But after many
Ibig sabihin, mga tisoy, mga tisay, hindi siya pwedeng lumabas dyan. Kasi nga, di ba, game show yan sa Japan. Nanalo na siya, di ba, 5,000. So, parang inisip niya na kasi pagka nag-give up siya dyan, patay na, hindi niya na makuha yung 1 million yen, which is equivalent to 9,000 US dollar. On that year, malaki na yun, guys. Okay, let's go.
Days of waiting, becoming desperately hungry, Nasubi finally won his first prize, 12 pots of fiber jelly, which he immediately began eating.
Nanalo siya, pagkain jelly.
His second prize was 5 kilograms of rice.
Okay, second prize, guys.
Unfortunately, he quickly realized he didn't have a pot to cook it in.
5 kilos.
After failing to eat the rice raw, Nasubi discovered he could cook the rice in an empty fiber jelly container by setting them close to the stove burner.
Pero may stove. Ayos, grabe survival.
For the month of February, Nasubi continued to win the following: 1,000 yen, body soap, canned spaghetti, subsequently realizing he didn't have a can opener for the meat sauce. Despite many prizes having little or no practical value, Nasubi seemed grateful for everyone he received, and it's no doubt that with an entire waking life consisting of little more than filling out contest applications, the brief adrenaline rush of the knock at the door became his only source of excitement.
Okay.
Nasubi's basic needs, of course, had to be met.
Self-actualization, achieving one's full potential include creative activities, STEAM needs, psychological needs, prestige and feeling of accomplishment. And of course, belongingness and love needs, intimate relationships, and friends. Then next is basic needs. Of course, ito, kailangan natin safety needs, security, safety. Then psychological needs, which is Food, water. Of course, yung mga necessity para sa sarili natin. Let's go.
So food was of paramount importance. Although let's remember that the higher the monetary value of the prize, the closer Nasubi was to his 1 million yen goal. Reaching this goal proved incredibly time-consuming. To get halfway there, it took Nasubi 6 months and 38,000 contest entries. During this time, some notable prizes included a bicycle, which once the initial excitement wore off, he remembered had no practical value in his tiny room. He rode it around briefly, then never again on the live stream. Panties, which was his first article of clothing, although they didn't fit. A stuffed seal, which he named Binasu, befriending it. A 14-inch TV set, although there was no antenna or cable, so all he could view was static. A toothbrush and toothpaste, which allowed him to brush his teeth for the first time during his 3-month stay. Around the 6-month mark, the show had become incredibly popular, and the local news media somehow discovered where Nasubi's secluded room was located. So, producers woke Nasubi in the middle of the night, blindfolded him, and escorted him to a new, yet nearly identical room.
Hindi pala siya. Ayan. Nilagay na siya sa isang place. Oh, wow. Ang daming stock na. Binalik pa rin siya doon, parang gift-line. Oh, yun, may mga gamit
Before
na.
this moment, A Life of Prizes was broadcast on Sunday nights and edited down to a 10-minute weekly summary. But with this room switch, producers decided to offer a live web stream alternative, causing them to digitally follow Nasubi around with a joystick in order to censor his genitalia. As you can see, the quality of the live stream is primitive, but keep in mind this is in the late 90s.
Yes.
It took Nasubi another 3 months to get 2/3 of the way to his 1 million yen goal, and throughout the months of August, September, and October, Nasubi submitted an additional 17,000 contest entries.
Wow.
Notable winnings included a watermelon, tickets to see Spice Girls the movie, a VHS player to go with the TV set he had won several months back.
Oh, siyempre, ang saya mo nun,
After this expensive win, Nasubi hit a string of bad luck. At one point, he went a week without hearing a knock at the door. And during one drastic period, Nasubi completely ran out of food. Rather than rescuing him and risk spoiling the tension of the show, producers opted to relocate Nasubi a second time in hopes that the change would bring about good luck. This new location did indeed prove lucky, as Nasubi won several very valuable prizes, including a PlayStation, which he played non-stop for 4 days straight, but he soon banned himself from it after recognizing it as a distraction from filling out contest entries. A tent which he lived in for several days, but whose sheer size prevented him from doing his dance of gratitude during
guys, bago natin paano kaya siya mag-ihi, magtae, bahala na, hindi ko na maintindihan to, tapusin na lang
his
natin.
winning moments. Worried he would appear ungrateful, Nasubi disassembled his tent and put it away. In the month of December, Nasubi won a very expensive set of automobile tires, a 10,000 yen gift voucher, and finally, putting him just over his 1 million yen goal, a small bag of rice. And after 335 straight days of nothing but sleeping, eating food when available, eating dog food when there was nothing edible available, answering the door, and most importantly, filling out contest entries, Nasubi had finally won. Or had he? At this point, the ratings of the show hovered somewhere around 17 million Japanese viewers.
Oh my God, 17 million Japanese viewer. Grabe, ang laki ng rating ng show na to. Panalo lang siya ng 1 million, 17 million. Mas makikita pa rin yung producer nito kaysa saka yung gumawa ng show na to.
For comparison, the highest watched episode of Game of Thrones sits at 16.5 million viewers. The people absolutely loved it. and the producers were making
Talo niya pa
millions.
yung Game
The
of
notion
Thrones,
of
oh.
ending it just yet was ridiculous. So, in the middle of the night, the producers woke Nasubi, showered him with confetti and streamers, and announced that he had finally won the contest. They returned his clothes, but Nasubi hadn't worn clothes in almost a year, and upon dressing, he'd realized he'd developed a distaste for them, citing them as being itchy. Although Nasubi was under the impression that the show was over and his trip to a Korean carnival was a celebratory holiday for his hard work, little did he know that the producers had no intention of allowing him to go home yet. While still in Korea, Nasubi was blindfolded once again and guided to a fourth room, which consisted of the familiar magazine rack, stack of envelopes, and a Korean-Japanese dictionary. Despite not knowing the language, Nasubi was nevertheless instructed to put his Korean-Japanese dictionary to work applying for contests. His new goal was to earn enough prizes to equate the price of a plane ticket back home to Tokyo. It needed only be a one-way economy class ticket. After translating and applying to nearly 7,000 contests, Nasubi met his monetary goal in just 2 short months. But this all happened too quick, so producers required him to make another 9,000 yen in order to upgrade his ticket to business class. And Nasubi accomplished this by winning 2 bags of incredibly rare and expensive tea leaves. But this wasn't good enough for the producers, and so they then required him to upgrade his tickets to first class. No problem for Nasubi, who had institutionalized himself to this way of life, and after winning a picture frame, a fox skin, and a live octopus, Nasubi was a first-class passenger. It was finally over for Nasubi. He'd won. Producers blindfolded him and led him into his final room.
Abusive ng ginawa ng producers
Unbeknownst to
dito.
Nasubi, the 4 walls of this room were collapsible, and behind them sat a live studio audience. As soon as Nasubi was left alone in his final room, habit kicked in, and he quickly undressed. After a dramatic countdown, the walls collapsed and Nasubi was met with the cheering applause of thousands of people. The look of shock on his face was both cathartic and sad to watch. At this point, Nasubi had been living this lifestyle for 15 months, having barely spoken to another human being. He applied to 75,000 magazine contests, averaging 1,250 applications per week and nearly 200 applications per day. It took him several minutes to register what was happening. It's difficult to imagine the thoughts that must have been going through his mind in these moments. The show, Susunu Denpa Shonen, was intended to be comedic, featuring a laugh track to punctuate almost every moment featured in their broadcast. Even during the moments where Nasubi became visibly distraught, frustrated, and hopeless, the live stream would overlay silly sound effects to signal the viewer that his suffering is their entertainment, escorting them away from the intuitive response of pity.
Okay. Ayan na.
カメラの前座った。
おはようございます。
Susunu Denpa Shonen went on to film 3 more endurance experiments before being cancelled in 2002 due to the torturous nature of their content. Some of the other contests included requiring contestants to hitchhike across Africa, build a raft on a deserted island and float back to Tokyo, and finally, sit in a pitch-black room only to receive light and food whenever their favorite baseball team won a game. Although the show was cancelled, it found a new home in 2009 on the internet under the name Number 2 Nihon Webcast. But when I went to the site for this, it appeared to be down, so I can only assume this too was ultimately cancelled. Even though most people outside of Japan aren't familiar with Nasubi or the Susunoo live stream, Japan's reputation for their cruel reality television is widely acknowledged, and it has been often parodied
Sila
in
pala
Western
talaga
media.
yung unang sumikat,
So the
guys.
question many of you may have now
Ayan.
is, what happened to Nasubi?
Yes.
Did he achieve the fame and fortune he was promised for his remarkable endurance?
Tama.
Well, yes and no. His journal of experiences, titled Nasubi's Prize Contest Life Diary, went on to be published
Crazy
and
TV
reached
channels.
bestseller status. And despite not becoming the world-famous comedian he'd hoped to become, he did find small success in television and film acting. But it's undeniable the psychological toll the live stream
I
had
know.
on Nasubi. Because he spent 15 months entirely naked, Nasubi reported having trouble wearing clothes after returning home, and his extended solitude caused his social skills to atrophy, and he found much of his comedic charm and social aptitude gone, leaving him awkward and shy. Even though Nasubi's exploits remain one of the most watched live streams in the history of Japan, this in-depth look into the brutal 15 months this man
Siya
endured
pala
in
ang
order to provide
pinakasikat
us
na
with an
most
unprecedented
viewed
viewing experience
live
begs
stream
the
sa Japan,
question,
guys. Mga tisoy.
how far should we go
Grabe,
to
kawawa
entertain?
naman, no? Okay.
Famous comedian he'd gone, leaving him to provide us with an
Okay, guys, no? Hanggang dito na lang, guys, no? Grabe. Kahit sino naman siguro, no? Kahit sino naman siguro, masasabi natin na ako lalaban ako kasi hindi mo pa naman alam yung game, eh. Grabe, no? So, ang pinaka-worst lang dito, guys, is from the start, maganda yung mga pinakita niya, na-survive niya lahat yung mga 335 days ba yun o 365 days. So, ibig sabihin mga almost 1 year, di ba? Na-survive niya hanggang nanalo siya, hanggang binigyan siya ng mga prize, pupunta siya ng South Korea para i-enjoy niya yung life niya, but in the end, nasiraan siya ng bait, guys. So, grabe. Sino bang di makaisip ng gano'n, no? Kahit ako siguro masiraan ng bait, nag-iisa ka lang sa kwarto, di ba? So, ito na masasabi ko, guys, grabe, pinaka-popular, pinaka-best viewed siya na isang TV show sa Japan, pero pinaka-worst nightmare para sa akin. Kawawa naman tong tao na to. Nasiraan talaga siya ng bait. Siraan siya ng ulo. As we can see na yun naman ang sinabi ng isang narrator ng video na to, guys, no? Grabe, kahit nanalo siya. Pero ang tanong, ano na bang nangyari sa kanya ngayon? Di ba? Saan niya ba na gamit yung pagiging fame niya, pagiging famous niya? Di ba? So, para sa inyo, di ba? So, yes or no lang kung na ano ba siya, kung na sumikat siya, tuloy-tuloy yung pagkasikat niya. Kasi ang sabi niya kanina is na ano doon sa TV show, di ba? So, that's it, guys. Para sa akin, talaga masisiraan ka ng bait talaga. Kumbaga yung normal na naisip mo, in the end, nag-iisa ka lang, may pagkain ka, wala kang kausap, mag-iba talaga. Kasi yung development kasi ng mind natin is based on the environment. Pag ikaw mag-isa, anong gagawin mo? Pag lumabas ka sa maraming tao, hindi mo na alam gagawin mo. Kasi nga hindi ka na expose katulad ni Nasubi, di ba? So, hanggang sa muli, guys, please support me, and of course support si Astro City Guide. Nasa description down below, guys, no? So please subscribe also this channel, and of course don't forget to subscribe my channel. What you're gonna do is just click like, share, comment, share, and hit notification bell for more mga trending videos, na mga strangest videos, na mga horror videos, na mga sikat at saka mga viral videos dito sa loob ng social media. Okay? So that's all. Once again, thank you so much for supporting me. Love you all. Bye-bye. And God bless us all. Thank you.